The old Victorian house creaked under the weight of October rain as Maya lit the final candle around the makeshift séance circle. She glanced at her three remaining friends, Elena, whose hands trembled as she arranged the antique Ouija board, Marcus, skeptically adjusting his glasses, and Zoe, clutching a faded photograph of their friend David, who had died in a car accident just 2 weeks ago. "Are we really doing this?" Marcus whispered, his usual bravado nowhere to be found in the flickering candlelight. David would want to say goodbye properly, Maya insisted, though her voice wavered. They'd all been devastated by his sudden death, especially since their last conversation had ended in an argument about something so trivial none of them could even remember what it was about. Elena placed her fingers on the planchette. "David, if you're here, please give us a sign." For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the planchette began to move. "David, David." Zoe gasped, tears streaming down her face. "David? Is it really you?" "Why yes, yes." The board spelled out. "MISSYUALL, miss you all." What followed was 20 minutes of pure relief. David's spirit seemed gentle, apologetic about their last fight, and eager to reassure them he was at peace. He even made jokes, spelling out inside references that only the five of them had shared. For a brief moment, it felt like old times. But then Elena noticed something wrong. "The candles," she whispered. "Look at the flames." The candle flames, which had been burning steadily, now danced wildly despite the absence of any breeze. The temperature in the room plummeted. "David, are you still there?" "Not not David." The planchette moved so violently that Elena had to grip it with both hands. "Nevrwas, never was." Marcus jumped back from the board. "What the hell does that mean?" The lights began to flicker, and a low, guttural laugh echoed from somewhere in the walls themselves. The planchette continued moving on its own now, no one touching it. "YURFREN your friend isn't coming." "HESBUSWSCRUMNG, he's busy screaming." "We need to close the circle," Elena said, her voice rising in panic. "Everyone hold hands and..." The candles suddenly exploded in unison, plunging them into darkness. In the brief silence that followed, they heard something that made their blood freeze, David's voice, but wrong, distorted and filled with agony. "Why did you leave me on the road? Why didn't you come back for me?" Zoe sobbed. "David, we didn't know. We would have helped." "Liars." The voice transformed into something inhuman, a shriek that seemed to come from every direction at once. "You drove away. You left me to die alone." But that was impossible. David had been alone in his car when he crashed. None of them had been there. Marcus pulled out his phone's flashlight, and what he saw made him scream. Standing behind Zoe was a figure that looked like David, but his face was a mangled mess of blood and broken glass, exactly as he must have looked in his final moments. Zoe spun around, saw the apparition, and stumbled backward into the window. The old glass shattered instantly, and she fell 3 stories to the concrete below with a sickening crunch. "Zoe!" Maya rushed to the broken window, but Marcus grabbed her arm. "That's not David down there," he whispered, pointing. Below, something wearing Zoe's face was looking up at them and smiling with too many teeth. Elena had been quietly chanting, trying to close whatever door they'd opened, when the floorboards beneath her gave way. She plunged into the basement, her screams abruptly cut short by a wet, tearing sound. The David thing turned its attention to Marcus and Maya. "2 more," it hissed, and suddenly Marcus was choking, invisible hands around his throat lifting him off the ground. His glasses fell as his face turned purple, and then his neck snapped with an audible crack. Maya ran for the stairs, but the house itself seemed to be working against her. Doors slammed shut, walls shifted, and hallways stretched impossibly long. Behind her, she could hear all of her dead friends calling her name in unison, their voices a horrible symphony of the damned. She burst through the front door and into the rain, but as she looked back at the house, she realized the truth that made her mind shatter: the house was gone. There was nothing but an empty lot overgrown with weeds. The police found Maya the next morning, sitting in the mud, catatonic and clutching a newspaper clipping. The headline read, "5 teens die in house fire, no survivors." The article was dated 2 weeks ago. The same night David had died in his car accident. The same night they had all burned to death, trying to save their friend from a house that had been condemned for decades. Maya looked down at her hands and watched them fade away as the morning sun rose, finally understanding that some friends never let you go, even in death.